And now we welcome in Garrett Podell, NFL staff writer for CBS Sports, who was there when Dak was talking the other day, and Troy as well. You know, you look at what Dak is a guy, and as those other two quarterbacks too, they can handle all the scrutiny and everything. You got to win playoff games like Troy did. Are you surprised where we are with this contract situation right now?
I'm incredibly surprised, Bill, because we got to talk to Dak back in March, and he said, I'm extremely confident that this deal is going to get done. And now the rhetoric has completely changed, because now the conversation is, well, the real negotiations, they haven't quite started yet. And Dak is saying, I don't necessarily want to be the highest paid guy, but ultimately when you look at the last four quarterbacks to get deals, most recently Joe Burrow, 5 years, $275 million, they become the highest paid. The next quarterback is the highest paid quarterback. So I would expect Dak to command that kind of contract.
All right, we're just getting started with Garrett Podell of CBS Sports. Up next, we dive into the draft, and that means the Big Green NFL Draft Scouting Notebook Mock Draft when we come back. Often imitated, never duplicated, the Big Green NFL Draft Scouting Notebook is filled to the brim with five-star prospects Jerry Jones needs to draft. It's the 20th year of the Big Green Notebook, started in 2005 with DeMarcus Ware. Bill Jones with Garrett Podell. Garrett knows he cannot touch the Big Green Notebook. No, do not touch that Big Green Notebook there. All right, through the years though, Jerry did draft DeMarcus Ware. He was in here. I suggested heavily that he should draft DeMarcus Ware in 2005. Sean Lee was another one. Tashard Choice is a fourth-round draft pick. But other than that, he hasn't picked any of my picks from the Big Green Notebook. Where does he start this year? Because when you look at all of the departures this offseason for this Cowboys team, both sides of the football, offensive line, running back, wide receiver, defensive line, cornerback even, linebacker, of course, Eric Kendricks came in for Leighton Vander Esch. He's not even on the list here. That Cowboys shopping list is long.
It is, and they did not address that in free agency. Like you mentioned, Eric Kendricks being the only real big signing. So I think you have to start with the offensive line. Tyron Smith, he's now on the New York Jets as it showed up there. And that's an area where it kind of depends. What are they going to do with Tyler Smith, the Pro Bowl left guard they drafted a couple of years ago? If you want to kick him out to left tackle, maybe you go interior offensive line like a guard in round one. If not, maybe you hope one of the big offensive tackles slides.
And that's why those so-called draft experts out there are saying the guy the Cowboys need to draft, it's a great year for offensive tackles. But how about this guy, Graham Barton out of Duke, to be your center? He has started throughout his career. Outside of his first year, he played some center, 5 starts there, but otherwise at left tackle. And he is he has a Jason Witten look in his eyes to me, which says a lot.
He does, and I think that would be a great pick for them. He's got, to your point, the versatility. Played left tackle, probably a little too small, not as quick laterally to play tackle on the outside in the NFL, but interior, left guard, center, he can be a rock-solid guy there. And who knows, maybe that's your Zach Martin of the future.
Well, that's a mouthful right there. But, okay, I said it's so deep at offensive line in this draft, particularly at the tackle position. I think they also, with all those needs, and they only have 7 draft picks, they don't have a 4th-round draft pick, trade down. And how about a defensive player? Because we looked at that chart right there, and there's a lot of vacancies on that defensive line. Darius Robinson from Missouri in a trade-down scenario. I love this guy, as Robinson is a guy that was a defensive tackle early in his career at Missouri, became first-team All-SEC, playing on the edge with 8.5 sacks last year.
I think his build is tremendous and exactly what Dallas needs. 6'5", 285, long 34.5-inch arms, explosive off the ball. His bull rush, he can just go right through interior or offensive tackles out there. And I think with a little Mike Zimmer polish, he could really become something. And as we saw in the postseason, the Cowboys need more punch up front. Aaron Jones ran through them in the playoffs. They need to hold up a little bit more in that department.
All right, okay, so let's get to the picks in the mock draft. Draft. We are trading down with Baltimore. We're trading a first and a second to Baltimore for a first, second, third, and fourth. We're picking up an extra third and a fourth round pick. The Green Notebook has fallen in love with Florida State wide receiver Keon Coleman, who happens to be Cee Dee Lamb's cousin, only 20 years old, 11 touchdown catches for the unbeaten Seminoles, 38-inch vertical, high football IQ, played football and basketball at Michigan State before transferring to Florida State. Keon Coleman, 6'2", 215 pounds, would make a great combo with cousin Cee Dee. Forget about that 4.6 40, right?
Exactly. Great body control, like you mentioned, going up like a basketball player to make the catch. And what matters more than the 40 time is his play speed. How fast is he? And at the NFL Combine, he had the fastest gauntlet time, which is when they chuck the footballs and you throw your hands up like this and you turn to make the catch. Fastest time there. What that shows to me is that he can really move when it's actually time to play ball. And, he's kind of got that DK Metcalf type verticality. Could use some help with the intermediate routes, but you love the big body target to go along with Cee Dee in the slot.
Sounds like Garrett has his own big green notebook that he is hiding from us. He's done his homework here. But the point on this is the Cowboys have a big need getting another playmaker on offense. And wide receiver early, I think, there's talk that you can get a wide receiver at any point in the draft. I think that's a myth when you're talking about an elite wide receiver. You can't find great wide receivers late, I don't believe. Xavier Legette from South Carolina is a guy I think the Cowboys might target in the second round.
I think that's a great pick. There's a lot of people who say don't look for the next Deebo Samuel, but Xavier Legette, he's been somebody who's been comped to Deebo, erupted for over 1,200 yards in the SEC, just behind Malik Neighbors in receiving yards in that conference. Do-it-all player, can do stuff out of the backfield. He'd be a great pickup there.
He's got jaw-dropping speed, too, at 6'1", 220 pounds, and he ran a 4.39 40 at the Combine. All right, second round. Remember, we trade down about 6 spots, pick up an extra fourth-round pick, and I love the offensive tackle from TCU, Brandon Coleman. People are sleeping on him. He's out of Denton High School. He was living in Germany and was a quarterback when he came over here in high school at age 15. He grew into an offensive tackle. Let me tell you, Brandon Coleman, he has measurables that are very similar to Tyron Smith. I'm not saying he's Tyron Smith. He'd be a top 10 pick if he was, but I see a lot of good things out of Brandon Coleman.
Absolutely. I saw him in person at Big 12 Pro Day over at the Star in Frisco, and he's got refrigerator-wide shoulders, broad shoulders, and that's kind of one of the things you'd like to see in an offensive tackle. Extremely long arms, very quick. To your point, Bill, he's a grater in the run game, just bulldozes through people. He would be a great pickup.
He's very similar to Tyler Smith, and I think you get him here, he's played guard or tackle, and you just figure it out, sort it out between Tyler Smith and him, who plays outside and who plays inside on the left side. First of 2 third-round picks. Linebacker Trevin Wallace from Kentucky, 6'1", 237 pounds, and I just love this guy's speed. He ran a 4.51 at the 40. He's a team captain. He is a fun watch when you watch those Kentucky games.
And that's a great size for the kind of linebacker the Cowboys need. They kind of got run over and were playing converted safeties like Jaron Kearse, Marquise Belt linebacker last year. 237, that's a pretty heavy number for linebackers in today's game with the passing game. You don't see the 250-pound Ray Lewises anymore. That'd be great size in the front seven for Dallas.
You're not going to see running back taken in the first round of this draft. I'm taking my running back here in the third round, and I'm going with Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin. This guy's only 20 years old. By the way, Keon Coleman's only 20 years old, too. As a 17-year-old freshman at Wisconsin, Braylon Allen had 7 straight 100-yard rushing games. And what I like about him as much as anything, this is a mature guy. He's a physical downhill runner. And you just watch his interviews, and this stage is not going to be too big for him.
And he brings an element that the Cowboys lacked last year, that physical bruiser, especially near the goal line. You remember the Miami game, Tony Pollard had a run into the end zone. He got stopped, and then the next play there was a fumble turnover. That's the kind of bulldozing running back that could really benefit the Cowboys.
Speaking of other running backs here, okay, Jonathan Brooks out of Texas. You're probably, if you're going to take him, you're probably going to take him at 56 in the second round. He might be the first running back off the board. I know the Cowboys love him, but they have other needs as well. And I think it's a pretty good class of running backs in the second, third, fourth round.
I would agree with you, but if there's any team that knows Jonathan Brooks, it's the Cowboys. He had the ACL injury. I saw him in person at TCU. His agility bouncing to the outside and running down the sideline sideline is elite. If they trust his knee and Dr. Cooper and out of the Cooper Clinic in Dallas did his procedure, then I understand the pick.
All right, what about a center? You got to have a center, okay? How about in the 4th round? That's why we picked up the 4th round pick. Tyler Biadasz was a 4th round pick. Bo Limmer out of Arkansas and Tyler Legacy High School. Here's a guy who squatted 700 pounds. By the way, Braylon Allen squatted 600 pounds. If they don't have a Pro Bowl team, they'll have a Pro Bowl weightlifting team on this team.
Absolutely, and he's durable. He's going to be out there 36 consecutive starts in the SEC. That says a lot. That's basically the NFL feeder league the last few years. To start that many games in a row, that says a lot. And I think Jerry Jones would always love to add another Razorback.
There you go. That's exactly right. All right, Bo Limmer is your new center for your Dallas Cowboys. The rest of the Big Green Notebook mock draft, we got to fill those needs as we show you Jaden Crumedy, a defensive tackle from Mississippi State. In the 6th round, Miles Harden, a slot corner. Jordan Lewis getting up there in years. And, of course, you haven't replaced Stephon Gilmore. Tulu Griffin, he's a kick returner from Mississippi State. And you got to have a local out of Frisco Lone Star in Air Force. It's Trey Taylor, the safety. There you take a look at the 3rd day picks. What do you think of the Big Green Notebook mock draft?
I think we addressed all the needs, and Jerry Jones should follow every single step there, especially the trade down. They really need depth, and those extra picks in the middle rounds could be really beneficial.
All right, we appreciate it. Garrett Podell, NFL staff writer for CBS Sports.